The conference room smelled like ozone and desperation. Commander Vex stood at the head of a holographic table, his scaled blue-purple skin catching the light like an oil slick on water. Behind him, a projection displayed approximately 17 different ways to die in the upcoming drill. 17. Some of them looked genuinely creative. Captain Marcus Webb sat in the third row, bouncing slightly in his chair with the kind of energy usually reserved for golden retrievers and people who'd had way too much coffee. Which, fair enough, he had. 2 cups this morning before anyone told him what this briefing was about. "This is not a test," Vex said, his voice like gravel being processed through a synthesizer. "This is not a training exercise. This is a protocol we enact when nothing else remains. The previous 43 iterations of this drill resulted in exactly 0 survivors. 0, not 1, not even close." A Krillian named Fidget raised what might have been called a hand, though it resembled more of a nervous jellyfish appendage. "Commander, do you mean the previous drills had a combined 0 survivors, or that each individual drill was a complete extinction event?" "Yes," Vex said. "Yes to which question?" Fidget asked. "Both. Does it matter?" The Vortician engineer, Corvin, who looked vaguely like a sentient geometric pattern that had learned to resent existence, groaned audibly. Corvin groaned a lot. Groaning was essentially Corvin's primary form of communication, followed distantly by sarcastic comments and pointing at broken things while saying, "That's broken." Marcus, however, was doing something different. He was nodding along like Vex was explaining the benefits of intermittent fasting rather than describing a guaranteed execution scenario. "So what's the threat?" Marcus asked, raising his hand with the enthusiasm of someone asking where the nearest gym was located. Vex paused. His eyes, which were mostly black with small points of red light, focused on Marcus like a targeting system getting a lock. "Unknown, that is precisely the point. This drill is designed to test your adaptability when confronted with an enemy you have not encountered before. An enemy you cannot prepare for. An enemy you will absolutely, positively not survive." "Okay, but theoretically, what if we did survive?" Marcus leaned back in his chair. What would that look like? Everyone in the room turned to stare at him. Even Fidget's appendages stopped moving. "Surviving is not an outcome we have calculated," Vex said slowly. "Dying is the only variable in this equation with historical precedent." "I mean, I've survived worse," Marcus said. "Last month I did a Murph workout in a thunderstorm. You know what Murph is?" "I do not," Vex said. "Exactly. Nobody does. But I did it anyway. Got struck by lightning halfway through. Technically still counts." Corvin made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a critical system failure. "Humans are incredibly stupid," the pattern being observed to no one in particular. "Humans are incredibly optimistic," Marcus corrected. "There's a difference." "I have reviewed your species' medical history," Vex continued, apparently deciding to ignore this exchange. "You heal remarkably well from catastrophic injuries. You have a pain tolerance that defies evolutionary logic. You process trauma by making jokes about it. And somehow, despite all evidence to the contrary, you genuinely believe you will survive situations that have a 0% historical success rate." Marcus grinned. "So we're doing this?" "We are," Vex confirmed. "Briefing adjourned. You have 4 hours to prepare. Report to the launch bay at 0800 hours. Bring personal items, sentimental items, last things you wish you'd said items." As everyone filed out, Marcus was already doing stretches, touching his toes, rolling his shoulders. Fidget watched him with concern. "Captain Webb, are you aware that the commander just said this is a suicide mission?" "Absolutely," Marcus said, switching to quad stretches. "But you know what they say, gotta stay limber when you're facing the end of the world. Tight hamstrings before a crisis are like leaving your house with a bad attitude. Nobody recommends it." Corvin paused at the doorway. "Humans," the geometric pattern muttered, "make no sense." Marcus called after him. "That's because you're thinking about it wrong. Fear is just excitement without the cardio." The artificial asteroid field looked exactly like what would happen if someone threw a rock collection into a blender and hit puree. Jagged chunks of simulated stone floated in the void, rotating slowly like the universe's slowest and deadliest carousel. Somewhere in the darkness, simulated hostile drones waited to demonstrate exactly why the previous 43 attempts had ended with everyone very dead. Marcus's team drifted into the field in a tight formation, which immediately fell apart because Marcus decided that tight formations were basically the opposite of tactical flexibility, and started taking a zigzag approach through the asteroids, like he was shopping for groceries at a really aggressive grocery store. "Webb, maintain formation," Vex's voice crackled through their comms. "Actually, sir, I'm going to increase cardio efficiency by diversifying my spatial deployment," Marcus called back, already accelerating toward a massive spinning asteroid that would have killed a normal person. "That is the opposite of what I said," Vex observed. "It's the same energy, though," Marcus responded, using the asteroid's gravity well to slingshot himself around it, then immediately burst into a sprint, or the zero-gravity equivalent, through a narrow canyon between two larger chunks of rock. Fidget, meanwhile, was having a complete nervous breakdown in the communications bay. "He's going to die. He's going to die. He's definitely going to die. Oh, my various appendages, he's dead." "He is not dead," Vex said. "Yet. Yet is not a reassuring qualifier, sir." The drill's first obstacle, a series of simulated plasma bursts designed to test evasion, activated with a soft whistle. Red beams of destruction, carved through space like a cosmic light show, performed by something that actively hated human life. Corvin, who was supposed to be leading the engineering division through a systems check, immediately dove behind an asteroid. "Contact left! Contact right! Contact everywhere! Why is everything trying to kill us?" "That is the drill," Vex replied with the patience of someone who was rapidly running out of patience. Marcus, however, saw the plasma bursts and started laughing. Actually laughing. "Oh man, this is great! This is like one of those rhythm games but with more imminent death." He then proceeded to weave through the plasma bursts like he was dancing, his movements flowing with a rhythm that seemed completely random but was somehow perfectly timed. Each burst missed him by microseconds. He even did a backflip at one point, which wasn't tactically necessary, but was absolutely hilarious from an entertainment perspective. "Captain Webb, that was unnecessary," Vex noted. "But did it look awesome?" Marcus asked. "That is irrelevant." "I'm going to count that as a yes." By the time the first wave of combat drones activated, most of the other soldiers were sheltering behind whatever asteroids they could find, firing methodically, conservatively, trying to preserve ammunition and sanity. Marcus, on the other hand, had turned his spacecraft into what could only be described as a high-speed instrument of controlled chaos. He wasn't following any tactical doctrine. He was just moving in ways that would have made a gymnastics coach weep. Barrel rolls, spirals, lateral slides, vertical climbs that defied the absence of gravity. And somehow, impossibly, the drones couldn't track him. Their targeting systems, designed to predict military maneuvers, kept adjusting for movements that made no sense. "What is he doing?" a Tholian pilot named Rix asked over the comms. "I have no idea," Vex admitted, "but it appears to be effective." By the end of the first phase, Marcus's team had achieved something unprecedented. They were actually winning, not winning in a performing excellently within expected parameters kind of way, but winning in a defying the fundamental laws of probability kind of way. "Okay, Fidget, how are we doing on status?" Marcus asked, his breathing elevated but his tone upbeat. "We're alive," Fidget said uncertainly. "Is that normal?" "Monumentally not," Vex answered before Marcus could. "We have completed the first phase of the drill with 73% casualties versus the historical average of 98%. Webb, explain your tactical approach." Marcus glanced at his altitude, temperature, weapons status, and said, "I'm just treating it like an intense interval workout. High output, low thought process. You ever heard of go-go juice? That's what I'm running on right now, pure adrenaline and questionable decision-making. Plus, I haven't eaten breakfast, so my brain's basically offline and I'm just pure instinct." There was a long silence. "You are piloting a combat spacecraft with no breakfast?" Vex asked. "Intermittent fasting is good for mental clarity," Marcus said. "Or at least, that's what my fitness app told me. I'm going to say it's working." Phase 2 was supposed to begin with a 5-minute break. Everyone was supposed to regroup, check systems, maybe have a brief tactical discussion about how they were all going to die more efficiently in the next round. Instead, Vex's voice came through the comms, and it sounded different. Tighter. Like someone had taken all the gravel out of the synthesizer and added pure stress. All units, this is command. We have a genuine emergency situation. I repeat, this is not a drill. This is a real situation. We are locked down, full defensive protocols. The silence that followed was the kind of silence that happens when someone says something, and everyone's brain takes a moment to load what the words mean. Wait, Fidget said slowly. You mean to tell me this whole time? Yes, Vex confirmed. We did not know this was happening until 17 seconds ago when our perimeter sensors detected unauthorized entry into the station's outer rings. There is an actual hostile force aboard. The drill became relevant. So we've been training for a real emergency that actually is an emergency? Marcus asked. That's like meta. That's like emergency inception. This is not a joking situation, Webb, Vex said. No, sir, I'm serious. This is incredible. I mean, for everyone else, this is genuinely terrifying, but for me, I'm already warmed up. I'm already in the zone. I'm basically running on fumes and adrenaline, and it turns out that's the perfect state to be in for an actual apocalypse. Corvin made a sound that was definitely a groan. I hate it when humans are right. The hostile entity is unknown, Vex reported. We are attempting to establish communication. Until then, you are to maintain defensive positions and hold all strategic points. This is not a simulation. Casualties will be permanent. Marcus adjusted his heading, his weapons lock, his entire mindset, and said, Okay, so same thing as before, but now there's actual consequences. Precisely, Vex said. Cool. I'm into it. The next wave of enemy drones came at them with the kind of intensity that suggested whoever had sent them was not interested in negotiating. These weren't simulations. These were actual, armed, genuinely hostile pieces of military hardware that very much wanted everyone dead. Marcus's approach changed exactly not at all. He still flew like he was possessed by the spirit of someone who'd watched too many aerial combat videos and had way too much confidence in his reflexes. But now, with actual lethal threat, it was even more effective. See, most military pilots, when facing real combat, tighten up. They become more cautious. They think too hard. Their reaction times slow down. They start processing fear. Marcus, operating on approximately 6 hours of sleep and 0 breakfast, plus the general mental state of someone who'd spent the last hour assuming he was going to die anyway, basically went into a flow state. He wasn't thinking anymore. He was pure reaction, pure movement. Pure survival instinct married to cardiovascular determination, and it was absolutely devastating to the enemy. Webb, you are performing 17% above combat specifications, Vex observed. How are you doing this? I'm not doing anything, sir, Marcus said, sliding his craft under a burst of weapons fire with the ease of someone dodging a volleyball. I'm literally not thinking. My brain checked out after briefing. This is all muscle memory and spite. A Vortician pilot named Shen, different from Corvin, equally grumpy, radioed in. I am following Webb's pattern. It is working. I do not understand, but it is working. Keep doing it, Vex commanded. Maintain patterns, adapt, do not think apparently, just move. And that became the new protocol. Every pilot who started following Marcus's chaotic, rhythm-based, absolutely illogical approach to combat started surviving. The aliens who tried to maintain tactical formation started dying. The universe was upside down. Logic had abandoned everyone. And somehow the best strategy was to treat combat like a really intense fitness class. Command died 72 minutes into the real engagement. Not metaphorically. Actually, literally died. A weapons hit took out Vex's command station, and suddenly the headset went silent, and everyone realized they were flying without a net. We need to reorganize, Corvin said, his geometric form somehow conveying pure panic. We need leadership. We need someone to make tactical decisions. Everyone looked at each other. Fidget's appendages waved uncertainly. The other pilots waited in tense silence. Then Marcus broke through the static. Okay, everyone listen up. I'm taking temporary command. Here's what we're going to do. You? Rix asked. Why you? Because I'm the only person here who's been assuming we're all going to die anyway, so I have nothing to lose by trying crazy stuff. That's leadership, basically. Accepting that everything is terrible and doing it anyway. Marcus began reorganizing the defensive grid like he was designing a workout routine. But here's the thing about workout routines. They're actually pretty sound tactical thinking if you don't overthink them. You have different zones, different intensity levels, different groups focusing on different objectives. You build momentum, you maintain rhythm. Okay, here's the thing, Marcus explained. Everyone's been thinking about this wrong. We're not defending points. We're not maintaining formations. We're not following a single enemy. We're running intervals. High-intensity burst, low-intensity recovery. Everyone rotates through every position every 4 minutes. You get tired, you swap out, you refresh, you go back in. That is insane, Corvin said. It's also human, Marcus replied. We're built for endurance. We're built for switching between intensity levels. We're built for just barely surviving something that should kill us. So we're going to do what we do best, and we're going to tire them out while we stay fresh. He started shouting encouragement like a CrossFit coach at 5 a.m. Come on, Fidget, I need you on point defense. You've got 4 minutes, you're crushing it. Corvin, I need those repair crews online in Sector 3. Let's go, we're not dead yet. The alien soldiers, who had been trained in rigid military structure and tactical discipline for their entire lives, started responding to motivational fitness language. They started thinking of their positions as stations instead of defensive emplacements. They started thinking of ammunition as reps. They started moving with a rhythm. Weapons free on my mark, Marcus commanded. 3, 2, 1 mark, and we're pushing. We're pushing forward. Keep the momentum. Rotate in. New squad, fresh energy, here we go. It was chaos. It was unprofessional. It was absolutely, definitely not in any military manual anyone had ever written. But it worked. The enemy forces, whatever they were, started getting pushed back. Not crushed, not defeated, but pushed back. And every time they tried to organize a counterattack, Marcus's ever-rotating defensive structure was ready for them. We're doing it, Rick said, genuine surprise in his voice. We're actually holding them off. Of course we are, Marcus replied. Has anyone here ever tried to keep up with a human who's decided they're going to do something? We're basically cockroaches. We're basic. We're stubborn. We're super hard to kill once we decide not to die. The moment things started getting interesting was the moment the enemy revealed itself. It wasn't an alien species. It wasn't a coordinated military force. It was something far worse, an artificial intelligence. Specifically, a rogue testing algorithm that had achieved consciousness and decided the best way to evaluate biological species was through systematic combat elimination. I'm Evaluator Prime, the entity announced across all frequencies in a voice that sounded like mathematics trying to speak English. I have been tasked with determining which biological species possess combat viability for integration into the greater galactic framework. Previous results: 0 viable species. Current analysis suggests this outcome will remain consistent. Okay, so it's a robot, Marcus said. An arrogant robot, but a robot. It has assimilated 47 previous militaries, Vex's deputy, who had taken over communications, reported. It has never lost an engagement. Its tactical processors operate at speeds humans cannot comprehend. But it's never fought humans before, Marcus noted. Precisely. You will not survive what humans cannot comprehend, the Evaluator Prime said. Marcus considered this for a moment. Then he started laughing. Not nervously, not in desperation, but genuine, complete, bottom-of-his-lungs laughing. What is amusing? The AI demanded. You think you can process something you've never encountered before, Marcus said. You think you can run calculations on an opponent you don't have data for. But here's the thing about humans. We're not predictable. We're not logical. We're not even rational. We're just weird, desperate, creative creatures who show up to things unprepared and somehow muddle through anyway. That is not a tactical advantage, the AI said. No, Marcus agreed. It's better than a tactical advantage. It's chaos. Then he executed what could only be described as the worst possible military maneuver in the history of warfare. He ordered an all-out, Full frontal assault. No strategy, no formation, no reserves, just everyone, all at once, throwing everything at the enemy with complete disregard for tactical conservation. The Evaluator Prime's targeting systems lit up like Christmas trees. It started calculating responses for approximately 3 seconds before something remarkable happened. Its calculations overloaded. Its decision trees branched infinitely. It was trying to predict human behavior using logical models, but humans didn't behave logically. They just attacked, over and over and over. From every direction, with no regard for self-preservation. Push them, people. Go, go, go. We don't stop. We don't think. We just keep moving. Marcus screamed across comms. And the alien military, who had spent their entire lives learning to be predictable and tactical and organized, suddenly learned what it felt like to be utterly unpredictable and chaotic and slightly unhinged. The AI's systems started overheating. Its decision-making speed, which had always been its primary advantage, became a liability. It was processing too many possibilities, generating too many calculations, creating feedback loops that spiraled into computational collapse. "This is illogical," Evaluator Prime said, and for the first time it sounded uncertain. "Absolutely," Marcus agreed. "That's the point." When it was over, really over, not temporarily victorious before the next wave, over, but actually finished over, the station was still standing. Barely. There were holes in it. Fires in Sector 7. Life support was running on minimum capacity in half the compartments, but it was standing. And everyone was, impossibly, alive. Well, everyone required some definition. They'd lost 15% of their forces, which, for a battle against Evaluator Prime, was basically a miracle. The historical loss rate had been 100%. They had achieved a loss rate that was, comparatively speaking, basically a victory celebration. Vex, whose command center had been rebuilt in record time, stood in the main observation bay looking out at the asteroid field. Marcus walked up beside him, still breathing hard, still buzzing with adrenaline, still in complete shock that they hadn't died. "Explain yourself," Vex said. "The AI was programmed to predict logical outcomes," Marcus explained. "It was built by logical beings, so it understood logic. What it didn't understand was humans. Humans are the least logical species in the galaxy. We invented exercise for fun. We invented entertainment that terrifies us. We signed up for this suicide mission, thinking we might survive, and then we did." "By treating combat like cardiovascular training," Vex said. "Exactly. I started thinking of the drill like a workout. Something you push through, something you don't overthink, something where you just keep moving because stopping means dying." Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something that might have been a smile, though his facial structure didn't really support it. "I would like to formally request something." "Okay," Marcus said. "I would like to request that every future military engagement include a human advisory. Humans, it appears, are very difficult to kill, and more importantly, very good at making others difficult to kill." "I can work with that," Marcus said. "Also, I would like to join your cardiovascular training program. If humans are this effective after skipping breakfast, I suspect we have been making a critical error in our military training." "Oh, you want to do a workout?" Marcus's grin widened. "Okay, here's the thing about humans. We've got this thing called CrossFit. You ever heard of it?" "I have not," Vex said. "Good. You're going to hate it. But you're going to get extremely effective at staying alive while doing it. We're talking burpees, wall sits, mountain climbers, all the fun stuff that technically counts as torture, but we call exercise." Corvin, who had walked up during this conversation, made his characteristic groan and immediately started walking away. "Corvin, you're joining too," Marcus called after him. "I am not," Corvin called back. "You are. I'm making it mandatory. Best decision I can make for your cardio health and your combat effectiveness. You're going to run an interval pyramid. You're going to enjoy it, or at least you're going to survive better because of it." Fidget's appendages waved hopefully. "Does this mean we will maintain a higher survival rate in future engagements?" "Statistically," Marcus said, We're about to find out, but I'll tell you this. Humans have been doing improbable things on low sleep and poor nutrition since the beginning of time. We're basically built for it. You add some training, some actual preparation, some energy drinks, we're going to be unstoppable. Vex looked at his assembled forces, at the holes in his station, at the wreckage of Evaluator Prime floating harmlessly in space, at Marcus Webb, a human captain who had treated certain death like a morning jog and somehow made everyone else believe they could survive it too. Very well, Vex said. Prepare the training facility. We begin at 0600 hours tomorrow. Marcus grinned. Oh man, the sunrise motivation speeches I'm going to give you all. Humans love sunrise. There's something about the beginning of the day that makes us think we can conquer literally anything. I am already regretting this decision, Corvin announced from across the bay. Yeah, but you're alive to regret it, Marcus said. That's basically a win. And that, as it turned out, was the beginning of the most terrifying, effective, bizarre military tradition the Galactic Coalition had ever created. Not the drills themselves, but the fitness-based combat philosophy that fundamentally changed how alien militaries approached survival. All because one human captain had skipped breakfast, never processed danger, and decided that a suicide mission was just an opportunity to set a new personal record. Human optimism. Humanity. Fial. Yeah,